So now here we have those periods, as we say in the operating page, the cycle page. So here is the starting degree and here is the finishing degree. So let's imagine that the cycle, operating cycle, is presented from 0 to 360 degrees. So first of all, we prefer always that to use the plug, the upper plug. So we will operate first the upper plug. It will start first after the chain move, and here the forming process start. So first of all, the plug will start. It will press the material into the cavity, and then we will have the vacuum start. Then the sequence of the vacuum goes here, and here is the forming air. So here is the forming air also as well, will start then. And in this case, in this period here, we are finalizing all the forming process. Before the moving again of the chain and after the opening of the mold, we are using here the ejection air. This ejection air helps the product to go out from the cavity easily. Here we have in this the lower part of this cycle page, we have the upper forming and lower forming moving blocks. So it will start moving here from the 5 degrees. It will start opening and it will start closing from 180, and again until it reaches to the end. So from 5 to 180 and from 180 to 360. So it's opening here, closing here. Again, opening, closing, closing, opening, opening, closing, like that. The lower forming here, the upper forming here, and here we have the movement of the chain in the red place. So these values we don't change. These values, if we change, we might interrupt the movement of the chain with the block. So these values we don't change. We might need to a little bit change in the speed values, but also we don't recommend to change anything now because it is ideal to make everything operate very well. We have the movement of the cutting block. The movement of the cutting block as it's presented here. So here in general we use the upper opening. We open it fast and we close it slowly. So here is the speed. So we open it fast and close it slowly. What will cause that? Why we open it fast? We don't want the knife to be stuck in the material and to prevent any unstable conditions that happen because of the cutting process. And we close slowly also to give us the rigidity and the needed effect of cutting. Stacking page. So here we can start always from the 0 position, which is the sheet or closing position. So here the stacker goes down and wait for the chain to move, and then after the chain will stop, it will go up to push products. So it will be waiting here. Of course, you will not change anything here. So in this chain page, we will measure the width of the mold, and this is the clearance between chain, right? So the width of the mold as we measured is 530, and here we are adding 10 millimeters as clearance between the mold and the chain, 5 millimeters from each side. And our sheet has to be extra going inside the chain from both sides. And here, this value here is the value of the length of the mold. Let's measure it please together. So here we are measuring the length of the mold, which is
390.
390, right? Okay. Would you please measure it from between O-rings up? Take care of your hand.
350.
350, right? So we put it here, something in the middle to reduce the scrap. We have the shape of the oven. So here we have the upper oven, and we have here the lower oven. We have here this graphic, this chain graphic. It shows us this is the width of the oven, and here are the indexes 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is the upper oven and this is the lower oven. If you notice here, we will turn off this one. We have controlling areas. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in the upper forming, and the same also here in the lower forming. So if you notice here, we are giving, for example, 597 here, and we are giving here
Tavanın dışında kaldığı
these are out. So this is 500, these are off. 550, we have 515 here. We have here 522, we have 482. We have 545, we have 511. So you notice that almost the upper oven is almost more with more with 40 degrees more than the lower oven. Why? Because heat always goes from down to up. So if it is the same, so the lower part will be heating so much, and the upper part needs more heat to reach down. So this way you have both almost the same at needed point. Here are the side heaters. The side heaters for the sheet. It helps, of course, while we are using thicker material, thicker sheets. It helps us to. It helps the chain to hold the sheet easier, because the pins of the chain will go easier in the. We can control those side heaters, input heaters, those side heaters. So what we can do is we can use the percentage, just only choose what is the percentage of heating. So it will be on and off. We can use it only, as I said, with thick materials, and the idea here is just it is immediate heating and immediate cooling. So it doesn't need time to get warm, so it's immediately warm, and soon as you turn it off or there is no sheet, it will immediately turn off automatically. Here we have, if you notice, the cutting heater. This is the heater of the cutting station. So as we explained that, in the cutting station we have a heater, and this heater is helping the knife to cut more smooth. And here we have the cutting block temperature. This temperature, there is a sensing element in the cutting block, is helping us to understand whether the temperature of the block is getting heated by the cutting knife. So there is a sensor here. It's telling us the degree temperature of the block. If it is overheated, it will immediately stop and give us an alarm here. This is the water inlet temperature, the temperature that comes from your chiller there. And here is the flow rate of this water that comes to the machine. So now the flow is just only cooling it's just only cooling the chain rail only, and the cutting upper block. It's just only cooling both of them. So now as we are not working, the machine is not working, it's idle now. There is no cooling in the mold itself. So let's open the cooling of the mold here, and let's notice the flow. It's increased now. So we have more flow rate, because now the cooling is going into the mold itself. In the cutting page you can see the temperatures of the upper cutting block. So you can see the temperature of the cutting knife and the temperature of the block as well. So here we have in the heater page, we have the main heater controlling buttons. So by pressing this button, we bring the heater to the heating position like that here.
İlleri çekelim.
So if you press this, the upper cylinder, it will take the upper heater closer to the oven itself. And of course the lower cylinder as well, it will take the
Alt taraf
lower
ayarlı
heater.
değil, o yüzden yapmadım.
Yeah, as well. So this is so important actually for PP. This space, this gap here is not of course needed to be in while you are operating PP. So this distance make a lot of difference while you are forming PP. So we want to be closer as much as we can to the mold itself while we are operating PP always. So this also can be adjustable here from here. This distance, yes, you can adjust it from here. So you can just move this screw forward and backward accordingly to the distance of the mold. So if you have shorter mold, longer mold, you might need to check up this place here. The forming page again. So in this forming page, the forming settings, here in the left side you are controlling the blue blocks. So the left side, which has the servo, control the blue blocks. To the right side here, the adjustment, the height adjustment, control the gray blocks, the height of those blocks. So of course, while it is on the manual mode, those arrows are blue. It means that when you press this, it will go as much as you press. And when you take it to the auto, it will be red and it will go all the way up and down.
Otomatik hareketleri kapı açıkken yapamazsın. Bas mesela aşağıya.
So the automatic movement, you cannot make it while the doors are open. So if you go to the manual position, you can do that. And of course you have to reset this alarm. These are, as we said, the upper plug and the lower plug. You can control them. These are the pneumatics. And here is the servo. So the servo plug, the upper plug, the opening and closing, of course you can, when you take it again to the auto, it will come also red again. Here this button will help you to understand the servo plug depth. Automatically it will decide the depth of the plug that it can go inside the cavity. It will measure it, and after we measure it, of course we have to write it here again. The distance we have to write it less than with almost this, as we said, 1 or 2 millimeters, according to our, of course, experience. Here, yeah. So here we have the forming air. Those valves also in the forming station. So we can press on this forming air. It will blow air. We will hear very high sound. And here is the vacuum. Of course, the vacuum that will be added from the machine. So we have this vacuum option here also. We have the ejection air also. It is blowing air from the lower forming. And here we have the water inlet valve. Of course, it will activate the water inlet directly to the mold.
Suyu test etmek için.
Yes.
Su kaçağı var.
Kalıptan değil mi?
Kalıptaki.
Yes, for the mold. So you can use all of those to test while installation. And here is the water discharge valve. After you take out, of course, you want to take out the mold, so you discharge the water from the mold. And here you activate the vacuum pump until the vacuum tank will be filled. So when you press it, it will start automatically and stop automatically. When you press it, it will be activated and it will stop until the tank stops. Second page of the forming position settings. In this forming position settings here, we have those blocks here. First of all, we have the forming upper height and the forming lower height. So for the forming upper height, here in this situation, in this case, we have 235 millimeter, the height of the mold. So we just here write 235 millimeter and press here and send it to its position. It will go directly to the height that it needs for the gray block, and it will go to the needed height. Again, the lower forming is the same. We can measure the height of the mold and write it here and send it to its position here. Or we can adjust those manually, which is no need to do that in our case. And then here we decide the opening value of the blue block. So for example, it will go from 90 millimeters up. Of course, we can reach up to 140 in our case for TM650. We will decide the opening. So for example, our mold is, for example, 50 or 60 millimeter depth. So in this case, it's enough to go 80 millimeter as a total. So we can write here 80 or 90 millimeter. No need to go to up to 140. It will be time loss and of course electricity loss, power loss. And also here we can control the speed, the ramp of the opening and closing. 5% ramp is enough for our case and it's ideal. Also the cutting page, here we have the cutting position settings. Here we have the cutting upper servo settings, and of course let's start from the position, and cutting height settings, cutting lower servo, and cutting station position. So first of all, you have to adjust the height of the gray block here manually. You can adjust that, of course, or you can just write the value, the height of the knife.
Height of the block,
Yeah.
like we did for this.
Yes, like we did it as the forming, but we prefer to make it manually so you can see what is happening directly. Because especially the knife might be a little bit, because you cannot measure it very easy like the forming, or you can add, for example, measure it roughly and keep more gap and then arrange it manually. This will be easier also. The cutting position, this is the forward and backward, so both those all of those values are collected, accumulated here in these lines. So you can adjust again forward and backward of the station, adjust the height here, also adjust open and close the servo of the cutting, and here you can adjust the XY adjustment for the upper knife and for the lower knife, for the lower block. So here you can send it backward or bring it forward. The upper knife, you can send it backward or bring it forward, or move it with clockwise and vice versa here, and you are here seeing the position. So if you move it like that, you can see the position of that, and you can change all the values for upper and lower cutting here as well. The stacking page again. This is the stacking page, and here is the stacking position page. So first of all, I would prefer to start with the position. This is the positioner of the stacking page. So this bring it forward and backward according to the index we have it there. And of course here we have the lower pushers. So we can control them. We can control them, take them up and down, up and down, and according to the value we have here we can decide the following. We can decide the starting position, we can decide the first step, which is here, and we can start the second step, which would be the sweeping step. So for example, if we take it to the automatic mode and we press the number one position, it will go automatically to number one, and if we press number two, it will automatically go to number two, and if we press the start position, it will go to the starting position, which is the 0 we have decided for the machine. In this place here we have the stacker production center here, so we can decide how many pieces we have in each stack, and we here, if we enter the cavities of the mold and the amount that we need and we activate this, it will stop in the time, of course, when we have the needed number. The machine automatically will stop. So here is the second page in the stacker. It shows the sweeper options here, the sweeper values here. So this is the starting delay. So after the product reach to the second step, after 0.4 seconds it will start. The forward movement is the ramp. While it is sweeping products out, it is 5%, and I need the products, the sweeper to go back fast, so we use it 100%. This is the backward movement distance. So this is the starting distance, it will be 20 millimeter, and this is the last distance. So it's now in the 20 millimeter position. We will take it to the automatic mode and we will send it forward. It will go up to 475. This is the last position that we have just put here. And here we have the conveyor setting, of course, again the starting delay, the working period, how much it will work, and the automatic speed, of course, manual speed, and the scrap winder speed. So we adjust the scrap winder speed, and back in the machine there is a potential meter that adjust the torque of the motor. And here we can activate the AB stacking. So if we activate the AB stacking, this sweeper will swap half of the distance, and for example in the A, and the other one will stack it to the B.